Okay.
Yeah, you're
Something wrong with my face? Other than yes?
No, I think you just have something right here, but it's called your eyeballs.
It's called my eyeballs. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Untitled Quest and Cast podcast. Still untitled.
So be it.
All right. Episode 15.
Waiting for the magic hand.
That's 15,
like that
everybody.
One.
There
I like
it is.
That one.
With sound effects. I'm like a regular Winslow from the police academy.
Okay, nobody gets that. Do you want to scoot this way a little bit? There you go. Hanging off the side of the frame there.
Our chairs don't get much closer together.
Do they not? Well,
No.
Except that when they do.
Okay. Watch your fingers. Don't put your fingers in between the two chairs because they smashy.
So what happened this week?
What happened this week is,
know.
well, one of the big things is the launch of A Rime of the Frost Maiden. As you may have noticed, we're not currently streaming this.
Somebody first has to read it.
So the plan was that we would try and jump on this on launch day to, go with the hype, right? We did that with Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That's still one of our most popular first episodes ever, both in the podcast format as well as on YouTube. I think we're almost at 15,000 views on the pilot episode on YouTube. If I had to guess, we're over 100,000 downloads on that pilot episode on the podcast. So it is hugely popular. And
I already see character secrets. I already see the
Drist,
one page.
oh my God, Drist is located on this page 14. That's terrible.
I'm going to just go ahead and just read this page and then tell everybody about it, not bothering to read the rest of the module, as is my...
Just go into, oh my God, don't go in that cave.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's ice. Anyway, it turns out putting on another show is very difficult in our time-constrained life. So that's kind of on hold. So,
But do you want to talk about the book underneath it really quickly?
we do. In fact, this book right here, as well as...
Hold on, before you even get into the second book, the first book, by the way, we have 3 copies of. That book, which can be touched, then 2 other copies. I don't know if I can touch. Am I allowed to touch either of the 2 copies?
We'll get another one of these.
Okay.
So this one, actually both of these, this one, the...
What?
I don't know if these are secrets, but I'm going to start giving away some secrets.
That's fine.
Rick O on our Discord. A Panthrope on Twitch. Those of you who are wondering, I just gave that secret away. Boom. Out there.
I think people figured that out.
Anyway, so...
I think it was actually in the Discord as well.
Could be. So Rick, Panthrope, stopped by the studio the other day and dropped this book off for us because...
Was it that one or this one?
Yes. Both of them.
Ooh.
In fact...
I like the cover art on this one better.
So
this is pretty cool.
So this one is your
like
Wizards of the Coast
The Yeti
official
thing from
book.
Star Wars. Also an owl.
It is it's a snowy owl bear. This one is to do with how we please. So we are going to look and figure out, this is probably going to be a giveaway.
Also means I can't touch it.
At some point. So we try and keep it in as good a condition as we can. This one was a Kickstarter. And this one is on loan from Rick. Both of these were, I believe, destined for James for a little bit. So this was a Kickstarter. I don't know exactly when it was or when it happened, but this is a direct sequel to Dragon of Icespire Peak.
Yep. And it says, well, this one was published in 2020, so I don't know if that's exactly when it was released, but...
And this is from...
And obviously has a 2000 copyright from Wizards of the Coast, but...
So this is from Midnight Tower, midnight-tower.com if you are interested. I just read that from the book. I have no idea. I've not actually looked at it. This is the most that we have looked at these.
Yep.
But this is a sequel to Dragon of Icespire Peak. So we will find out what is happening. Obviously, COVID situation continues to evolve over time.
Or not unevolve.
Unevolve, devolve, revolve. So we need to keep checking with the cast of Dragon of Icespire Peak to see how they are doing. We know that the pace that they are going on
We're never finishing.
They're going to take a while to get to that level 5, and then we will see what happens there. As you know, it is on Monday nights, so it is.
As you don't know, because you don't watch.
Oh my gosh! Don't call people out like that. Anyway, so it is on Monday nights. Natural One is on hiatus until we come back in person. I think that the storyline, the gravity, the production value of the studio really helps that show. I don't know. It doesn't really help the show. It's a great story. It would be great remote, but we're going to come back with that when we are in person. We don't know when that's going to be.
That makes me sad, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
I mean, I think that, I think at the earliest right now, we're looking at the beginning of the year. That is still a TBD. So that is, and the way that this group is playing with woodland creatures and all of that, it is going to be, they're going to take all the time they need to finish Dragon of Icefire Peak. If we need to keep going and the cast is available, I think it would be awesome to do that, to keep going into this book. We may need to reach out and purchase our own copy.
Okay.
In fact, if they are out there, midnight dash.
Yeah, don't prep the tab or anything.
Well,
what is
midnight-tower.com and
CMO.
It's not secure. It's not secure.
That's a fine. Just what comes up.
Also, clearly did not
purchase it or spell it right. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, I'm going to cut all this out because I'm already bored just waiting for you to search the internet.
If I would have used Bing, it would have come up right away.
There it is.
Actually, this is a cool looking site. It's a mini micro publisher for 5e D&D. You see how my brain just messed that up?
Sure. Okay.
Content for dungeon masters and players alike. I think that's something that we actually wanted to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
Do
we go forwards or backwards then?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is like the show Dark, where we need to jump to
the end
to an 86 Mika, and then to a 90.
It's not a Mika, it's a Mika, because it's
like no.
Michael.
Well, yeah. What's the actual like pseudo bad guy?
They're all terrible people.
It's not Heidelman. It's the guy who killed all the kids.
Oh yeah.
With the ear thing. Anyway,
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
In case you wanted to watch
Dark is actually a pretty fun show on Netflix right now.
Or it could be a really annoying show. I'm still 50-50 on it.
Oh, that last episode was like flip a table annoying.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, I digress.
Anyway, yeah, we're all over the map.
We've gone all over the place.
What I want to do is I want to go here. Actually, I kind of want to click. Excite. I just want to.
I'm like, you can't just click.
The Hunter's Moon trilogy. Secrets of the Drow trilogy.
Drow trilogy.
So we played a Drow Wars game.
Which was Mongoose Publishing. And that was a 3-book adventure. And that took, like a year a book?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a lot of fun. Met some great people like Ezra and Nick.
Destroyed a lot of towns.
Wow, they've got a lot of stuff out here. You know what I don't see, though? The Rise of the Ice Dragons trilogy.
I wonder if it's because they're selling it separately here. Scroll up. You're right. I mean, it's on the front page. No, it's not, actually.
No. Huh.
Well, maybe tweet them, find out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to get our own copy of this. More D&D content?
Photoshop?
Tokens for virtual tabletop. I like those tokens. Those tokens are actually one of the huge problems that I have with Roll20 right now is the fact that the free icons and things that are included are really hard to see.
Yeah, they're just like a big dark blob of maybe a person, maybe not.
You know, they're trying to simulate top down, looking down like realistic, and I'd much rather have something like this where it's clear what it is, it's defined and definitive.
That is a little bit misleading in the fact that it is still pseudo top down, even though the characters or whatever it is looking up. Like, honestly, I would prefer the D&D Beyond image.
Yeah.
You know, so that you can actually see the face. Like, don't we do that for our Friday game, our home game? Yeah, I just use my D&D Beyond picture in Roll20 so that I know who I am compared to everybody else. And even then, sometimes it gets a little questionable. But so
yeah. So
there
you,
it is.
yeah, you can't purchase this. Rick, you're never getting this back.
Oops.
I'm kidding. It's just totally whenever you need
Not before we put it on the copy machine.
You know how hard that would be? That would just ruin the book. Yeah.
This is why I'm not allowed to touch the book.
Exactly. This is why they go on in a bin, on a shelf, protected,
Untouched.
I still need to get a Xanathar's alternate cover edition book. I won't say how much that costs.
How much does it cost? $70?
It's like 3 bones.
I'm sorry, $300 for a special cover for Xanathar's?
Yeah.
Xanathar's making a lot of dough.
Well, that's not Xanathar. That's people who at one point decided to start buying 2 of every special edition cover book that there was.
So really the special edition cover is $150. It's just the fact that for some random reason you've decided to buy 2 of everything.
No, that's just one. Let's just see.
You're kidding me.
I'm just going to flip to eBay. I'm not going to show this out to the world so you can see.
Yeah, everybody else can eBay it themselves.
Yeah, you don't need to see my search history, which is
just lenses. It's not that.
Zeiss lens, clear.
Can you find Xanathar's? Nobody cares about your search engine history. Really, they don't. You can get an old copy for $290.
$290, $250. I saw one that was going really cheap, but it was a total misprint. Like, it was.
What's wrong with that? That would be hilarious.
It was upside down to the cover. So
how much was it?
It was still $200.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, if that was like $30, I would be like, get it.
But it was like, so if this were the cover, to actually read the book, you would flip it over and then go like this, backwards.
Awesome. I think more books should be printed like that just for fun.
So $250, $270, $235, $320, $225.
Whatever. I mean, I believe the book should be
It's the only one
used.
It's the only one missing from my collection.
Okay. So before we start to go down the rat hole of Thomas, why don't we just show everybody how much shopping you do every day? That should actually be its own show. Oh, speaking of which, do we have the original Xanathar's guide somewhere? I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
In the shelf, right? Oh no, that's Waterdeep. But
no,
like
Volo's
old,
guide.
Is that Volo's? Okay.
Yeah.
Like the old one where the cover is brown and it looks like it was made in like 19 whatever.
Volo's Guide to Monsters.
No, I'm talking the old one.
Alternate
90s edition, 80s edition. Oof, $700 for Volo's Guide Special Edition Dungeons and Dragons First Edition hardcover. $795. That's insane.
Do you remember when I said that I had a really expensive set of dice?
Uh-huh.
I sold that really expensive set of dice and bought one of those.
Okay.
For the exact same amount.
Okay. Wow, that's insane. I just don't understand. Why is it $700?
So
is it just the rarity of it?
Yes, yeah. When the alternate editions first came out, people didn't buy them. It wasn't until they started to realize that that's what was collectible. Did they start? So I still need to get a Xanathar's.
But is this so? I know this is a rabbit hole that wasn't on the program list, but it's Dungeons and Dragons is such a subset of a subset of a subset of things that, like, what is the real value there? Because at some point, what happens if Dungeons and Dragons goes out of fashion? Like, what I'm saying is that, like, I think somewhere my mother probably has like a first or second edition, like Lord of the Rings trilogy books somewhere in the house. I saw them and then they just disappeared, which means that I'm not allowed to touch books in my house either. Apparently this is a theme.
It's a theme with your characters and you.
Anyway, but like that I can understand being extreme, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being that there's a larger buyer's market for that. Like this, $700, I think that's a lot of money for a lot of people who really like, there's just a small subset of people.
So,
you know I mean? How am I putting this? You're never going to make $10,000 off that book. Watch, you do, and then you'll be like, I just made $10,000, and then shove it in my face.
Well, right now, if I sold it for $800, that'd be profit.
Yeah, But here's the thing is that I don't think it'll ever get to $10,000 or $20,000 or something that like a first edition, you know what I mean? I don't know, Shakespeare or something like, you know what I mean? It would never hit that sort of priceless level.
Right.
Just because there's not a big enough market of people who actually know what it is or are interested in it.
So that is an excellent segue.
Cool.
To sort of our topic, which is
that also sounds like an excellent segue into what?
Well, so I mean that goes to the on this website. So this Midnight Tower, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they list content for dungeon masters and players alike.
Mm-hmm.
Dungeon masters by far spend the most money on products.
Correct. Yes.
Most stuff is geared towards them because they are unsung heroes for actually putting on stuff. You know, most of the items we talk about on this show that are RPG related are about making it easier for people to DM.
I don't think so.
Whether it's a quick loot deck, whether it's a random monster encounter deck, whether it's, you know, extra NPCs.
But the RPGs out there on Kickstarter are not necessarily for DMs. I think once you get into that higher dollar amount stuff, then it is for DMs. But for the most part, you're buying the PDF.
I don't know.
Look at look at Carbon 2185.
Yes.
Was there a DMG for that?
It was a single book.
Yes.
However, the city's source book is a resource book for DMs.
But that came out after the fact. I'm just saying is that the first book that came out, which is why Warren always accused me of cheating. Is
accused? Warren saw you cheating. Alleged cheating. Yeah, I mean, you know, by law, you have to say it's just alleged until you're convicted. However...
In the court of what? In the court of RPGs?
RPG court. I think rules lawyer court. You are gonna lose that because it's on. You're on film, looking clearly looking in the back of the book. But
that's the point. Is that I don't even know what the point was. Where are we going with this? Other than
Dungeon
the fact
Masters
that
buy
most of the products, but that was another. That's a kind of different. That's a different way of going about it. In the fact that everything was in that one book. So yes, my cheating was only because of the fact that it was readily available for me to read and it wasn't hidden in some tome somewhere, you know?
Okay. In Avolo's Guide to Monsters,
yes.
Which you're not going to look at because
I'm not allowed to touch books.
Well, there's that. We have a regular version of the book that you can look at.
And I've touched that
a lot. We have a full subscription to D&D Beyond where you're not going to mess up any books if you look at that on a computer or a tablet.
I might accidentally delete your character sheets.
It's all right. What are we doing today? So one of the things
for 20 minutes about Dungeon Master stuff.
So one of the companies out there, obviously our good friends at Nord Games, there is a link down below, which is our referral link.
You're going to put that in because I'm not.
Yes, as everything around here does. If you say it's going to happen for the channel, yes, I do it. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Hi.
Nord Games is doing...
They're fantastic.
Minis.
They're doing their first ever miniatures. So here we go. So this is...
click to the thing.
The Ultimate Bestiary miniatures. So these specific miniatures are from the Ultimate Bestiary Revenge of the Horde, which I used on a number of games.
Book right there?
It is not.
What?
No, these are totally different Nord Games books.
I thought I intentionally put that book right there so that you would be like, and then you can show the book.
Nope.
All right.
So they have...
I apparently did a bad job pre-producing the show.
So they have these miniatures that they are coming out with based on the illustrations and the monsters that are in that tome.
Yep. And is that the one with the Blight Lich?
No, that is the dreaded...
Why do I keep asking? It's never anywhere. It doesn't exist.
That is the dreaded accursed, which is right down here. Okay. This is Revenge of the Horde. So these are orcs, hobgoblins, and goblins.
That's right. Or as I like to call them, horgs.
Horblins, I think you called them all.
Maybe they were horblins yesterday. No, you got to get the orc in there though. Anyway.
That looks like an ogre to me.
Yep, it looks big and dumb.
Yep. So orc war. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anyway, so you know what I did? I did the Horde army. I went all in. I backed this. Because
you're not a retailer 1 or 2, even though I feel like that would be in our future.
So usually I do back Nord Games at the retailer level because that's 50% off, basically.
Okay.
However, you know.
What? That's cheating?
Yeah. So one of my favorite ones that I use. So these are, you know, as you can see, there's the illustration from the book and the miniature that.
Ooh, these are really close. Look at the Orc Bruiser.
Yeah.
Do any of these come painted?
No. The Hill Goblin Grunt
He's
and
adorable.
the Alchemist.
They are adorable.
You know, with the little ears sticking out of his coif or whatever you call that.
I don't know. All I know is I want one. I mean, in real life, if I could have one.
So you would be in favor of having house elves?
Yes. I mean, not as slaves.
They're slaves.
I would just.
You would give one a sock. Here's
Exactly.
a sock. You're free to do whatever you want.
And then
It'd
I
be
would
cool
pay them
if
a
you
fair
stay
wage.
here. Okay.
I mean, you have to pay them like something. I mean, they could live in the house if they wanted to.
Provide health insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you want
They could play your PS4.
so you want a short employee. It's what you really want.
I want a non-child child, if that's possible, that would clean the house for money.
Okay, you almost there with our dog.
A non-child child, yeah, except that it doesn't clean the house.
It messes.
Okay, so can you continue? Do they come painted? What is happening?
They do not come painted. The Hill Goblin Bomber, that is that we threw that at them right before.
Who's them?
The Foxy Irregulars plus Chris from
yeah.
Nord Games.
Did he recognize that? That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was when we were back in the
yes,
studio.
he did recognize that.
Did he cheat?
No.
Did he separate character knowledge from player knowledge?
Yes, he did.
Good for him.
Ruckus still has that bomb and still has not used it.
Is there any way that it would accidentally go off? Is there any
if it is ever
scenario.
outside of the bag of holding,
Yeah.
when there is a fireball go off, or maybe if he's hit with a fire spell, maybe there'll be a chance it goes off.
Interesting.
Or the fuse lights.
Ooh.
So then the fuse is lit. He has a round to do something. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Aaron's not going to see this, so that's not a spoiler. Anyway, so there's one thing that is different about this miniature campaign than most of the others. These are actual miniatures.
Okay.
Most of the others that we talk about are just files. They're just digital files. So right now...
Do you think that that's part of the popularity of the campaign? Because it's almost funded. How long has it been out? Like 5 days?
5 days.
Yeah.
They hit about halfway on the first day. They were really hoping to reach the goal on the first day. And again, I think this is their first miniatures thing. So they're, sort of breaking into a new market. I definitely think, you can see, look, I'm a backer there for $86.
I'm not painting any of these minis.
Oh, neither am I. I'm going to have to, it's going to be like $400 in painting for these things. Anyway, this is their first miniatures. If this goes well, they'll do other miniatures. This goes super well, they'll just turn into a miniatures company. It's kind of a joke that they said on their live stream.
Who is actually printing the miniatures? Or
there is
fabricating.
Yes, there is they have a factory. They have samples. They have they're doing PVC plastic.
Okay.
For these, and you get the digital files.
Yep.
Right. So not only can you get physical pieces, but you actually get the files if you have printers of your own.
So how popular is that? I mean, you
super
have
popular. I mean,
many printers, but for me, I'm a very different type of person who wants the mini I want, and I'd really like somebody else to paint it who isn't me. I'm never going to buy a Horde of anything.
Right.
And I'm never going to print anything.
You want a character that represent you. So, I mean, that's where Hero Forge really comes into play, and the new Hero Forge color, right? Because you don't even have to paint that.
Correct.
Those are, that is an awesome service, an awesome company. We have not done that because we're not in
somebody throws your mini and breaks the head off it.
Or just drop it and break the head off. It was kind of Sebastian's head. Fell off. There are some amazing stretch goals on this. So again, this is different than most of those miniature Kickstarters. So if they break $100,000, all backers with the physical pledge gets reference cards. With the
so you get a deck of monsters essentially.
Exactly.
Okay. So if you don't have the book, this actually really helps. Which I guess that's interesting. I mean, I would honestly put that as an add-on. as opposed to, because what happens if you're like, oh, these are super cool minis, but you want the actual stats that go with the actual mini? I mean, would you do like the Hill Goblin, like, would you use that Hill Goblin if you didn't have the Nord Games book out of like the Monster Manual or something? Would you use the stats that way?
Or just use the stats from here rather than the book? Mm-hmm. You could. I mean, you definitely could. This deck of cards is available. I don't know if this is a print on demand from Drive-Thru RPG or if they actually have built the decks. Something to look up. But so 125 grand tokens added each. So token of each, same size as the miniatures, and have a portrait of the mini. It's kind of cool. $150,000, a free PDF of Revenge of the Horde for all backers.
Okay, there you go.
That's pretty rad. Obviously, this is probably going to be 200 grand, but that's a hardcover book.
And the books are nice, and the artwork is nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge thing. I don't know. Their books are amazing. So these are stretch goals that are really like super beneficial if they reach it, rather than unlocking other things for you to buy. This is like, no. If we break this, you get this included. And I think that is a really interesting and cool thing. Well,
not only that, too, these stretch goals are actually on the level of complexity and actual benefit to somebody who gets, to somebody part of the campaign, like Frosthaven. The stretch goals were, incredible. They were actually a real benefit, where some of the stretch goals that we look at, it's like, oh, you get a pin or a sticker, and it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not super interested in any of your stretch goals. If you throw it in, fantastic. If I don't get it, I can't care either, because I want the items. And with this, you're getting an actual real value for the stretch goals.
Yeah.
So.
And then since we are also talking about this, we're going to jump to another miniatures Kickstarter that is happening right now, and that is the Orc Tusklands from, what is this, Rocket Pig Games.
Yep, and it looks like it's almost over.
Yes, 4 days to go, so probably by the time you see this, it is over. They're going to, obviously, they made their $1,000 goal. So what's different about these is this is, let me just hit this and
see what, if it actually you record it or not.
I think I am, but
if not,
so this has miniatures, so similar things, so goblins and these are just these are just STL files. So you are only getting the STL files for this, for you to print on your own printer. So we have an Elegoo Mars resin printer for miniatures and an Ender 3 FDM printer for stuff terrain. Like this, for terrain and those. So this is a bit different in the fact that, you've got modular sort of buildings to build out an orc
fight
camp.
Pit.
Yep. Fight pit or camp, or maybe that's a jail. Maybe it's an arena.
It's an arena. It's a fight.
Yeah.
It's a fight pit. Anyway. So, it's kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of Zelda a little bit.
Yeah, actually it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. But. So what's the difference? Because with this campaign and the Nord Games campaign, your backers, you're at the same dollar levels. So it's almost 1-to-1 as far as like what's being, how much money is being pledged.
So obviously this is you have to have a printer. 3D printer to start with, and then B, you're a DM most likely.
Yeah.
Because your players aren't going to make this stuff because they'd be like, why would they do that?
That is kind of cool, but unless you wanted to paint it. And that's kind of the question is, who else besides, you just think about it as just being like DM resources.
Right.
Are there people who are really into like painting some cool miniatures?
Yeah, there are crazy people out there.
Yeah, I know. Not me. Not it. But I think that would also, like, this stuff goes into that pool.
Yeah. So it's, you're right. It's people that are into miniatures are also into painting and collecting as well.
And storing.
Yeah.
Because that's not.
And storing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted to bring this up. There's an orc ship.
You didn't get any of these, did you?
I did not back
You know what you should do? You should give me some terrain to paint and just not say any words about what I'm going to do with it.
There's boxes in the storage behind us that we haven't painted because we're not
There's
in
no
person.
reason, yes. There's no
Perfect
reason to make
time
terrain.
to do it right now. Anyway, so this is going on, and it's another DM resource.
So
The next.
no, actually, let's talk about this. So what level of detail is in these Rocket Pig games, Orcs versus Nord games?
So I don't think they say. So just looking at this, you can see that there's a bit more angular things than some of the Nord games. So the Nord games minis were super, super detailed.
Super?
Very billions of polys. Millions of polygons.
Okay, and when you say millions of polygons, I understand what you're talking about when you're talking about building like in an animation software.
Yeah.
Sometimes
so,
it's polygons and the number of
So
points.
the more polygons, the smoother everything is. And when you are 3D printing things, you don't want that. You want to reduce the number of polygons. And also when you're just rendering, you want to reduce the polygon count without affecting detail. So there's a balance there.
Yep.
But when you're modeling, you are often modeling in a very organic way, using ZBrush or Blender or something like that, where you are doing just super fine details. And then eventually you need to be like, okay, we need to knock some of those polygons out.
If you're going to actually make the thing.
Yeah, if you're going to render. Yep. Chris was talking about in their video,
which Thomas is going to link below.
Well, I mean, it's in the link to the Kickstarter. Okay. So in this video, Chris was doing this in Blender. So he got the files, brought these into Blender, and then was rendering out also there's smoke particles simulation in Blender as well.
Continue. So he was rendering.
Like this, as he's rendering them out, each one of those miniatures has millions of polygons, and it's just eating away CPU and processor and graphics power. So by literally decimating, which is the tool that you use, you can reduce the poly count without reducing resolution. So they will go through that process of making these miniatures from their super high res molds into things that print faster without losing detail.
And so how common is it for a miniatures company to use something like Blender? Because I recognize Blender as being animation tools. So 3D modeling and animation. So you can actually like light, animate, and create animated items that go into a video essentially with Blender. So that's how I know Blender.
I've used a number of different animation softwares. From Lightwave 3D way back in the day.
Which is also talking about polygons or points is kind of sometimes what Lightwave, you're just sort of building shapes or building fatter shapes.
Then I moved to Cinema 4D for a while. I tried Blender in between there, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Mostly just the way that the mouse functions worked. It was really hard to figure out. They have since launched, it was 2.8 or 2.7 or 2.8 was like the major release where suddenly it had a lot of the standard operations of other software like Maya or some of the bigger software. So now,
how expensive is Blender?
Blender is free.
Oh, okay. So anybody could actually get on and use it.
Exactly. And it is currently amazing software. I was able to, so the first time I tried it, I just struggled to figure out how to do almost everything.
How many years ago was that?
6.
Okay.
And today I was jumping in and going through the tutorials and super easy to figure out.
Okay, so why were you going through Blender tutorials?
Making a donut from Blender Guru.
Okay. Just for everybody else out there, Thomas has like 100 other projects that he needs to be finishing and not fooling around with Blender. What?
So I am using Blender to build Mage Haven.
The town. Okay.
Which will then be input into Unreal Engine.
Correct.
Where...
as opposed to just buying sort of stock stuff.
Right. So it will be a combination of both purchased kit bash models as well as models that I make myself. and tweak and texture. And all that will go into Unreal Engine, where we can do movies.
Got it. So what is the process then if you are using Blender and either exporting into Unreal Engine or creating, what's the file type again?
STL file.
That's it,
So,
STL files.
So the process is going to be the same. So you make a model, and then you can save it as an STL file.
Okay.
And it will go through the process of converting into a format that 3D printers can read.
Got it. Okay. That was kind of my question versus what's the file format that would go into Unreal Engine or go into, like, I don't know. I mean, would you export and essentially just bring it into After Effects? Like, what other programs can you bring models into? Yeah,
so you will make your model as an FBX file, which is started as that was the Maya file, the Maya file format from Autodesk, and is now an open source file format. So you would export out your FBX into Unreal, which can include UV maps, which is basically the texture.
Okay.
Because you have to unwrap everything.
Yep.
You know, but yeah. So anyway, so that's happening. That's why I was in Blender.
Okay.
Learning Blender because I need to make
Blender do anything else? Like, can you do an actual background, or is it just straight up modeling? So can you light background animate?
Yeah, you can do everything in Blender if you want to.
Okay, so you could create like a short animated video entirely in Blender if you felt like it.
And people do and have.
Okay. All right. Rabbit hole number 2.
Yes. So, and then we want to go to another.
There's no segue here. There's no transition. Content.
Nope. So I'm building a Citadel.
That's not a great segue.
It's the Scarlet Citadel 5th edition Dungeon of Secrets. Classic multi-level dungeon for 5th edition gaming. This is Kobold Press. So they
Been
are
around for a while.
Yep. Known for a while, friends of Nord Games. You can see right here, Nord is a backer. So we follow Nord Games so that we get notifications when they...
when they follow things. Yep. Comments, questions? I mean, first off...
There's not a lot of info here.
Because it's a dungeon crawl.
Yeah. Kobold Press makes high-quality stuff.
What kind of stuff?
All sorts of third-party accessories for gaming.
Okay. Continue.
This is a module. Yep. There's not a lot of info here about what the story is.
Other than it's a citadel that looks like it was abandoned with dwarven mercenaries doing something underground. So, and what is it, 6 levels of dungeon? 5 levels? It's in here somewhere. I read it and then I forgot it. But also why there's no point in me reading books. No, right there, it's 6 levels.
So hardcover book, digital books, VTT, so Roll20 books, Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah.
This is just kind of here because we don't want to talk about just miniatures all day long.
Really? I think what I like about this, personally, my personal favorite type of Kickstarter is dollar amount per item. I feel like at some point, Kickstarter as a shopping platform might evolve. What day is it today? Today's September 20th. And I'm putting that prediction out there that eventually there will be things that are like kickstarting and that I think it'll become more and more popular to be like, buy what you want. So even if you're like, I'm going to pledge $1 so that once the thing is funded, or I'm going to pledge $20 once the thing is funded, giving me like a little $20 item out there. So when it is funded, I can actually do some legit shopping. Like
gotcha.
All these things have opened up, and now, just like I went insane with some pins.
Not as insane as a Panthro.
Yes. I only got 11, not 33. But anyway, it's the fact that you can now say, okay, I'm going to add this on and add that on. Like I went a little crazy with the dice from, I forgot who, again, I think because I'm no longer anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, but what I do like about how this Kickstarter was organized is it actually, to me, feels very logical in the rewards, the pledges, how it works. So in my head, there are things just looking at right now where it's like, okay, the PDF, yes, because you have to read it somehow, and the PDF is the cheapest and easiest way to go. $20 is a decent price for it. Obviously, I personally would like to talk to somebody and ask why PDFs are $20. Because, I'm assuming it's the artwork, it's the layout, You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
the labor of it. But essentially for somebody to just type up
You don't
text.
just type up text to
I know,
make a module.
I know.
There is
Formatting.
story development.
Yep.
There is proofreading. There is writing. There is commissioning artists. There is layout of everything, even once you have it. I mean, I think that PDF as an option is super beneficial for everybody. It is a...
Well, right now, because it takes forever to get things shipped.
Printed and shipped,
places,
yes.
yeah.
But this also, it allows people to do products
quickly
if they don't have the capital to print books. Printing books is not cheap. Printing card decks is not cheap.
Nope.
Which is really the function of Kickstarter, is to build that, build the
Liquidity,
capital to actually execute.
Great, yeah. But anyway, so if you look down the side where what is being funded at what levels, it to me is very logical. The first thing I would want is to read the PDF. The next thing I would want is to play with my friends. And right now to play with my friends has to be on Roll20. Then after that, I could get a book, maybe not, whatever. Because again, the next phase would be to play in person. And so what do you need in person? The physical book would be great as opposed to being on your computer with a PDF. Yes or no, maybe. But then you get into like the maps, which is important, so to put that out as opposed to having to draw the maps from your book is really kind of a nice benefit. And then from there, it just seems to kind of go in a logical flow as far as what your dollar amounts, what your increased dollar amounts get you regarding the pledges.
Okay.
And again, too, what I found a little bit opposite of what Nord Games did with their Kickstarter is that their Kickstarter, their rewards, their unlocked rewards or whatever at the certain pledge levels, your stretch goals, their stretch goals are huge. Like you get a physical book that would be $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Where here, the stretch goals are okay. Like character POV art. These are all things. Again, this is one of those things where it's like your stretch goals, keep them, whatever. Give them to me. I can't care. It's a nice to have, but not really why I'm interested in the entire Kickstarter in its entirety. Where with the Nord Games minis, back in Kickstarter, if I got a hardcover book along with it and got some of the other items, it's a huge, huge bonus.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are my thoughts.
So just looking around Kickstarter, there are other modules that are out there. We actually, did the playthrough of another module that was Kickstarted. The Exalted Veils.
Yeah. I forgot, was I human? All I know is I was from the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I think...
Apparently just the internet has decided to say, move on.
I'm moving on.
It's time for us to move on.
I'm moving on.
Yep.
So the last thing here is Tater Freighter. There's not much here, but if you sign up for their mailing list, the Bard Games mailing list, there's a little bit more information in there about what Tater Freighter is. If you look at episode 12 of this podcast, we talked to...
I have the email.
We talked to Brandon about Tater Freighter and how it even started with they were going to take the mechanics and pair it with some other story or,
some other property or IP.
Testing, they're like, no, it's a perfect game as it is. So
so we did get the email also from Brandon, and it looks like Tater Freighter. Players guess who will try to collect the most food crates while being careful not to allow other players to take them first. Games are quick, snappy, and a great bite-sized family game. So which is what Brandon's company does.
Yeah, he talks about 15 minutes per player as the games that they are looking to publish. So good family game, party game.
Yep. And they're looking to kickstart probably in 10 days or so. So it says early October. And that they're looking at about a $20 format for the first game, which again is right on par with everything else that that everything else that we see on Kickstarter.
Definitely a small game like that. That's a perfect price point. So that's that. There is one more Kickstarter October surprise coming. We are not revealing exactly what it is,
not yet,
or anything. But the 15th of October looks to be the date for that.
I bet you a lot of stuff is going to kickstart on the 15th of October.
It could be.
Possibly.
And if I get my button gear, there'll be something else.
That won't happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. C-Link.
That's going to be a November Kickstarter? I don't know. I have to.
You know what? Stop talking about things that you're never going to do. Just because you talk about them doesn't
Can
mean
I make it in Blender? Actually, I was going to do it in Blender because I could render out the cards. Anyway.
Is that it for this
That's
episode?
it for this episode, this wick, this
meandering discussion on...
So we actually talked about having like Blender discussion and some of that as a topic, but it just kind of...
blended in.
There it is. A .blend file.
Yep.
So on that bombshell, Jeremy Clarkson, we are going to end this episode of the Untitled podcast so that
you can stop listening to this nonsense and madness.
Can start playing Gloomhaven. All right. We're done?
Yeah, stop talking. We're done.